In today's video, the diagnosis on the Audi R8 starts and we'll find out whether the engine needs to come out or not. I'm hoping it doesn't, but obviously for you guys, you're hoping it does. That's the process then that we're going to start with. So if you're new to the channel, please do like and subscribe. And if you haven't already, please do follow me on Instagram as well at saving_salvage. Now let's get a breaker bar and try and turn over that engine. Now, if you haven't seen this R8 before, click in the top right-hand corner and go and watch the reveal of this car. And it was supposed to be flood damage, but it turns out it might actually be due to oil starvation that the engine doesn't run. Now, first thing we're going to do is try and turn the engine over by hand. Now, I've actually got my, when I did the RS4 V8, the crank tool actually fits straight onto this as well. And I haven't got my torch. Now I have my torch. You can see there, I've just fitted it and it just fits nicely on the crank pulley there. So I'm gonna get a breaker bar in there. Luckily there is just about enough room. So I'm gonna try and turn the engine over by hand first. And if that doesn't work, then I'll take the spark plugs out just so there's no compression issues. So if there is water in the cylinders, for example, it'd be hydro-locked and it wouldn't turn the engine over because of that. So we'll eliminate that problem by having no compression on any cylinders. And if it's still seized, then I'll take the rocker covers off. We'll have a look at the camshafts, see if there's any signs of melted camshafts or anything like that. And then, yeah, we'll just go from there, basically. Right. Hang about, there's movement. Which doesn't make sense. How much movement though? Yeah, there's not much movement. It does turn back a little bit though. So we've got about, let's have a look. Feels a bit weird. Doesn't feel like a seize as such. It feels like a lock. So I've got about, what, 10 degrees of movement and then it locks both on both stops. What's going on? So that under tray was a bit of a pain in the ass to get off in the end. Had to take both rear wheels off to get to it, but I'm hoping you should have a bit more access now. Right, so I've literally got, I don't know if you can see that, but this is all the movement I've got, ready? Well, it's not even 10 degrees, it's like 5 degrees of movement, but then it just hits a stop both ways. Oh, hello. Found my engine cover. Actually, before I lower it down to the ground, I'm actually going to take the other under trays off and drain all the oil out the car as well, because I put about 3.5 litres in, but it'd be good to know if oil starvation or lack of oil is a problem that could lead to our main issue. So if we're just going to drain all the oil out now, see how much is actually in the system, and that will give us a good indication of the actual problem. Right, so the drain plugs that I found on this is there's three, because this is a dry sump system, there is oil in the engine and there's also a reservoir which is here for the engine oil as well. So there's 3 drain plugs on the bottom of the pan, one here, they've all got arrows so it's quite easy, one there, one here and one on the end there. I've already cracked them off, so according to Google, because I obviously don't know, I haven't worked on these before so I'm not 100%, there should be about 4 litres in here and the rest in the reservoir. So I've got my little 5 litre can here. I'm not expecting much more than the 3.5 that I put in to come back out. So yeah, we'll be able to see exactly how much is in the system. Yeah, sorry I had to speed up this clip quite a lot because draining oil takes forever, in this case about 20 minutes. I'm sure I was talking crap anyway. It would have sounded like this. So interestingly, after draining those 3 bungs there, I have actually got quite a lot of oil out of it. This is a 5 litre container, so there's probably near on 4 litres in there. Now, according to Google, 4 litres is about what you'd expect to get out of the sump of the R8. So that's slightly interesting, because there's clearly 4 litres is not enough to have an issue with lack of oil, in my opinion. I don't think me putting 3.5 litres would have got into the R8 into the sump, because obviously I didn't run it, so that 3.5 litres should just be sitting in the reservoir. I mean, it will only pump out of there into the engine if the engine was running and the oil pump was pumping the oil around. So it shouldn't be, unless it's gravity fed into there, which, looking at this, the pipe kind of goes up first, so I don't think it might have done. I mean, I don't know. I don't think it has though, but anyway, so I'm going to drain that out now and then see what we've got in the reservoir too. Now, I just want to jump in the video there quickly, guys, just to kindly thank today's sponsor, who are SATA and Apex Tools, for kindly sponsoring today's video. And I'm going to show you their 20-piece half-inch metric tool set. This handy little tool set here, half-inch, goes all the way from 10mm all up to 34mm. 34 being quite an unusual size actually to get in a kit, but 34 is a good size to have. And also you've got some deep sockets here from 13, 17 and 19, most common sizes. And you've also got the half-inch quick release ratchet here, and you've got an extension bar which actually doubles up as a breaker bar if you need it to. And also you can pop this off the end here, and you have an adapter as well that takes it from 3/8 to half-inch as well. So it's quite a little handy tool, that. And you've also got a wobbly head here as well for hard to reach bolts, and the extension is a wobbly extension as well, just giving you a few extra degrees if you need it. And it comes in that handy green carry case as well, so you can take it with you if you're out on the road, maybe keep it in your van as a spare, tyre changes, etc. It can do that. So a massive thanks to SATA and Apex Tools for sponsoring today's video. I'll put a link in my description to their Amazon store and also their website as well, and I also put a link in my description to that exact tool set as well. So again, thanks to Apex Tools and SATA for sponsoring today's video. Well, I'm pretty confident that what's coming out here is the 3.5 litres I put in. And there we go, look, I've managed to get another circa 4 litres out of the reservoir, which is pretty much what I put in it the other day. So therefore we can be confident that before I put any oil in it, there was circa 4 litres already in the engine. Now, in my opinion, that is enough to stop it from running dry and having an issue with lack of oil. I mean, oil pressure would be down a little bit, but 4 litres is still quite a lot. Now, I don't know how much this should have in it. Probably 8, 9 litres-ish. So it's got half. Is that enough to have a running issue? Possibly, but I don't know. Maybe a bit far-fetched. Let me know what you think in the comments. I think 4 litres should just about be enough for it to run and not cause an issue. I don't know, but anyway, we still only have 5 degrees of turning. So now let's get it back down on the ground and whip them plugs out and just see if there's any water in the cylinders. They might still be hydrolocked. Still have no clue what's wrong with it. Now, to get to the spark plugs, you can just see the core packs down each side because they are red. And to kick things off, we need to remove the 2 side trims on either side of the engine bay, and they are just half-turn flathead screws. And as you can see, I need to remove the bonnet struts to actually get them out because they're stuck in the middle between them. And I've got the rest of the bonnet lid on my head. And now we've got the core packs, which are just held in with 2 little screws for the electrical side of it. Move them 2 screws out of the way, and then you can just pull all the core packs out. Same with the other side as well. Right, so I've now got the core packs out on this bank as well. So I'm just going to try and undo the first spark plug. I think this one I've got the best access to, so give that one a go first. Too tight. God, Jesus, how tight is this? It should be, I think, 25 Newton meters. God. Let me try a different cylinder quickly. Oh, well, that one's absolutely fine. Literally, that wasn't even tight enough. Jesus. So, cylinder 7, not ideal. Right, after about 15 minutes of trying to get, actually no, I got it wrong before, because the engine's the other way around on this. I believe cylinder 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So it's actually cylinder 2, that had the broken spark plug. And the reason it took me 15 minutes to get out cylinder 4 is because it looks a little bit like that. Now, I'm no expert, but yeah, that's not good. So I'm just going to stick my boroscope down there and we'll just take a quick look. Not that I'm really going to need to, because yes, it's absolutely mullered, so there's no doubt that the engine's coming out anyway, but let's have a quick look. I don't think this engine is going to be salvageable, I'm afraid. That don't look good, does it? I mean, I can't see much more than that, but I don't know how much more you need to see. That is absolutely... Cylinder 3, this should be alright. Yeah. So that looks alright. Cylinder 2 was the other one that was battered. Again, can't really see much. But what is that? What's that? Yeah, so sorry, the boroscope isn't that good quality, but you get the idea. So it's cylinders 2 there and 4 that are knackered. The rest of them, all the spark plugs and the cylinder bores, they look okay. So it just seems to be cylinders 2 and 4 that are knackered. So in my opinion, what I think has happened is, because the bank 2 or cylinders 5 to 8 all seem to be fine, the problem is on 1 to 4. 2 and 4 are knackered. 1 and 2 does have marks on it from the valves on the pistons. So I suspect that either a tensioner for the left bank, or the right bank in this case, has been defective, or the chain snap possibly. Basically the timing's gone out in that head. Pistons hit a valve, snapped a valve off, or snapped part of a valve off, or chipped part of the piston away, and that has then bounced around the cylinder and done that to the spark plug. So that is what I assume has happened. Let me know in the comments, what do you think? But I can't see any signs of any water ingress in any of the cylinders. So now we know that the engine's got, oh, by the way, it's got K&M filters fitted, which are minging, but yeah, they're not wet or anything like that, they're just very dirty. So yeah, we know now the engine is coming out, and I'm just going to wing it for the time being, just start removing stuff. And I'm going to start with the rear end, so rear bumper off, exhaust off, spoiler off, get all this off, just airbox, just start taking stuff off, because obviously the engine's going to come out this way, so all this needs to be removed anyway. I don't know whether to take the roof, not the roof, the rear screen off. I'm going to leave it for the moment because it's not in the way, but I'm pretty sure that when I need to get an engine crane in there, it's going to be in the way, so I might just remove it now to save ag later on. But yeah, we'll just keep going. Luckily, removing the bumper from the V10 is still fresh in my mind, so I can do this fairly quickly. There's 4 screws along the top where the Audi badge sits. That little plate comes off, and there's 2 screws under the number plate lights you need to do as well. And there's about 4 screws down each side where the mud flaps would be, or the wheel arch liners, and you've got about 4 or 5 along the bottom underneath, and you've got 2 under where the number plate would be, and then you've got a couple under each rear light as well, and then the whole bumper can just pull off. Now, to remove the rear lights, it is 2 screws underneath each one from the front, and there's 1 at the back engine side as well, so there's 3 in total. And once you've done both of those, you can just pull the light out. There's a little bit of a hold clip there, you just pull it off and then remove the electrical connectors. The rear crash bar, you've got 2 bolts each side. You can see, just spin it off with a gun, and a heat shield's also bolted to it as well, so you need to remove that. Airbox, 4 screws, pull it out, and then we've got access to our exhaust clamps here, look, and the classic, and snap, it breaks. Now, moving on to the other side, it didn't actually snap, so I managed to pull the bolt out the way, but I couldn't get the clamp off the exhaust. It was solid, and there's no room in there whatsoever. It literally took me 25 minutes to remove this clamp, but I condensed it down for you. Eventually, found a space, got it off, and now I'm going to remove the top part with the spoiler. Normally, when you're changing exhaust, I wouldn't remove this part, but as we're taking the engine out, we need to remove it all. Luckily, there's only 3 bolts each side and a few wiring connections, like where the boot lid goes in. Get that out, move it all out the way, and then we've got more access to remove the exhaust. And there's quite a lot of screws and bolts for the heat shield and then the exhaust itself. There's 4 clamps for the exhaust as well, so they need to all be undone. And then once you've undone all the heat shields, all the bolts, the whole thing will just pop off, and it's quite heavy. So I thought I'd jump in while I've now got quite a lot of the rear end removed. I'm sure I've just talked over the time lapse as well. It all went pretty well apart from that one clamp, literally about 10 minutes of footage just to remove one clamp. It took like 25 minutes to get that off. So people who want in-depth, I literally could have done a full 20-minute video removing one clamp. That's how much of a pain in the ass it is. But the rest of it went quite well, probably a couple of hours to get it all off. Luckily, obviously, I just changed the exhaust on the V10, so I had it pretty fresh in my mind what I had to do. But yeah, I mean, if I hadn't like just done the V10 one, that could have taken me 2-3 hours just to get off on its own, because it's a pain in the arse with all the heat shields, and the heat shields bolted to the chassis, to the bumper. There's about 15 different places it's bolted on. And you've got to take it all off in one, and the exhaust is actually loose inside the heat shield, so it's very difficult, and even more difficult on your own, because that probably weighs 40 kilos, I'm going to guess, or that, maybe a little bit more. So it turns out I've actually bought the UK's cheapest Lamborghini as well. Got a nice raging bull there. Right, so, yeah, as I said, I'm just taking bits off. I'm not referring to any manuals yet, because it's quite obvious what I need to do. I just need to keep taking things off until I can't see what I need to do, so then I'll probably refer to a manual. But anti-roll bar is going to come off, drive shaft is going to come off in a minute as well. I need to start removing some pipe work and wiring at the top here, so I can get this, I think it's metal bracket off as well. Oil tank needs to come off. Bits like this power steering reservoir needs to come off. Coolant header tank will need to just be, might actually be alright. And there's just loads of pipes that connect from the engine to the chassis, and at some point we've got to remove because there's ECUs are here, but there's a load of wires that go through the bulkhead into the back behind the driver's seat, into a fuse box possibly. So I need to get the car on the ground, take the seat out, and I think I've got I haven't had a quick look at some videos online, but I've got to disconnect a load of fuses wiring from inside the car and then pull it out, because we will be removing the engine with all the wiring looms intact. There is no way you want to be trying to undo all the plugs and wires from the engine and just leave the harness in place. That is definitely not the way to do it. So that's what we'll be doing. So yeah, we'll keep going. So removing the oil tank reservoir, there are pipes at the top and at the bottom, so I need to put the car in the air once I've undone the 4 bolts holding the oil tank to the chassis. Once it's in the air, we can get that pipe off at the bottom, drain the excess oil off, and I'll put a little glove in the end there to stop oil from seeping out and anything getting in. And then once we've done that, we can pull out ventilation connections off the top and pull the whole oil tank out. And now I'm going to remove the power steering reservoir as well, because that is in the way, stopping me from getting access to my crossbar. And then we've just got 2, 4, 6, 8 bolts holding this little cross member on here, and a few bits of wiring is attached to it as well. So once we've unclipped them, we can pull the whole thing out. Well guys, so I think I'm going to leave it there in today's video. Actually made better progress than I thought I'd make. Got all that off pretty easily. So in the next video guys, might even have the engine out. I can't see anything that's really going to be time consuming now. Getting that engine out. I mean, saying that, I haven't tried removing the seat or the interior or anything like that to try and get the wiring out, so that might take some time. But yeah, I'm optimistic in the next video we can get the engine out. So as always guys, thank you very much for watching, and again, please do subscribe if you haven't already, and I shall see you in the next one when, yeah, hopefully we'll get the engine out. Cheers guys.